Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Go on, Kirk. You got to talk about it.
Guess what? I'm gonna promote an album that was album of the week for Screen Blast Repeats YouTube channel for episode 10. And this, I think the band's manager emailed me this, trying to get some press and get some reviews. So Terracell, chaotic hardcore was the way they described it to me. So I didn't actually have it on my list of albums to review. And then I can't remember what it was. There was something I didn't like. And I thought, I'm not even reviewing this. It's shit. So I saw that, like, go on, I'll take this on. And fortuitously, I put it on and was absolutely blown away by it. So enough of me talking. I'm going to go to you, Dave, actually, first on this. Terracell, Caustic Light.
Okay.
American metallic hardcore. Give me your thoughts.
So Terracell, or shall I say Terrabell? No, okay, it's not that bad. Actually, it's... So I had to put a pun in there some way. Okay, Terracell, what did I think about this? 34 minutes, so it's not exactly a long album, is it? Which kind of sets it up. As soon as I saw it, I was like, 34 minutes, this is all just going to be very fast tracks. It's going to be aggressive. The name kind of gave it away. What I was surprised at is I was really disappointed on the first two tracks. There was nothing about them that connected with me on the first two at all. But when Propaganda Organ came in, I was like, actually, I like that. That kicked in. I was like, I got a cool vibe to that. Being of Light, I liked it. Had like punk elements to it, which I like a real kind of late 70s, early 80s punk to it. So I thought that was cool. Panopticon, is that the name of one of the songs? Reminded me of a band called Indifferent Engine at that point when I was listening to that. I was like, that sounds just like Indifferent Engine in that chaotic nature of what they do live. And Rumours of War I thought was quite cool. They were like my 3 or 4 main songs that I liked off the album. Empty Skies, really interesting guitar effect on that particular track. I didn't know what was quite going on there, but I liked that it used. It was something different. And there was a song called Malaise. I just didn't get that. I didn't understand what it was going on with it, what was the point of it. So I was kind of listening to it going, why is this on the album? I'm not really understanding Malaise. So they were the tracks that I kind of listened to and had first thoughts on. Any of the other tracks that if I haven't mentioned them, it's because there wasn't anything about them that made me want to put a comment about it. I liked the raw sound. It reminded me of like 80s demo, like death metal, that rawness. I actually quite like that. Didn't sound over polished. Sounded almost a little bit like it was self-produced. Like they just got into a studio and just kind of set everything up and just recorded it and then got a guy in to help with the mixing. Quite like that. Liked the guitar sound. Kick wasn't clicky, which I hate it when drummers make it sound too clicky, and they got it with the kick pad. And
Right, drums.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. And I just had a question mark over. I just wrote snare sound ? Didn't like the snare sound. I thought that sounded pretty garbagey. But that was apart from it. You got to remember, I'm not going to be able to comment much about the genre because it's definitely not my genre. But overall, it weren't a bad album for that sort of genre for me. I could listen to it again as long as I could skip the first two tracks. Because I don't think I could get through the first 3 tracks again. Which I'm looking at Andy's face, and he's going to say they're his favourite tracks on the album.
Go on, Andy.
Oh, we get to know each other so well.
Yeah.
Let's have your analysis, mate.
Yeah, absolutely right, David. The first 2 tracks were my favourites. Terracell, never heard of them. Didn't know what to expect. The logo isn't a clue. It's kind of almost black metal, isn't it, the logo? You know, very, very strange. But yes, it's an album that you need to work on. It's not background music. I think you really need to sort of concentrate on it. Chaotic, I think you said, David, as well. That's what I've noted down. Definitely chaotic feel throughout. Hypnotic as well in places. It reminded me, in certain parts of Conjurer, Pupil Slicer, Cult of Luna, those sort of bands. And then, paradoxically, at the opening track, it is very Doom. You know, I thought, I'm going to like this a lot. There's certainly Doom elements, and the vocals are straight in from the opening note as well. The Doom theme continues. So I've noted that they remind me of a German band from the early 2000s called Paragon of Beauty. I've got one of their albums that certainly vocally remind me of that, and some of the instrumental parts. It's one I'm going to keep working on. Like I say, I'm not convinced that it's going to be on sort of regular repeat for me. I did like it certain areas, as I mentioned a moment ago. The first couple of songs are certainly my favourites. The rest are kind of not particularly noteworthy. I'd say there's an array of styles. I'm not quite sure what their target audience is, what they're trying to achieve with their sound. But you know, apart from what I've mentioned so far, the sort of, you know, the mathcore and sort of the post metal bands and the doom elements, it's just a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. You know, you're the genre expert, Kirk. Let's see if you can clarify it all.
Well done. Yeah, no, you basically described it there, Andy. So I saw it at a crossroads between hardcore, post metal, and elements of mathcore in there as well.
So I didn't get much hardcore, to be honest.
You know, surely the vocals and the production, because Dave mentioned the production. Yeah. I think the aesthetics and spirit are definitely hardcore. I think do you know, it'd be easy just to call this extreme metal, because it has all those elements you just mentioned, including the really morbid death doom elements as well. What did you think of the vocals though, Andy?
So yeah, I quite like the vocals. They certainly suited the style. I haven't sort of made many sort of notes or recollections about it. I don't think they were, you know, particularly impressive, but they were adequate. Suited the style that they were trying to achieve, albeit different styles. Can't really add any more to that, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, so as I said, this was our album of the week for Scream Blast Repeat. And when they said chaotic hardcore, I was expecting this to be jagged and really fast and brutal, like Dillinger Escape Plan and Botch. Botch is certainly an influence on this music, but Dave, what surprised me here was the groove. I heard Will Haven in this. Do you remember the band Will Haven?
Yeah.
I heard a bit of them in the music, and that really influential 90s hardcore band Dead Guy, especially in the riff, you know, the hostile bite of those dissonant chord shapes and the chugging riffs behind them. So when that opener comes in, the end of all things, I'm just expecting pure chaos, and I don't get that. I get, like you said, death doom, post metal type vibes. And is it me, or is this the 34 minutes of this album really convey a nervous breakdown of the individual for me? And I was listening to this and thinking, this is a person that's alienated from society, that is alienated from the political process, that doesn't want to vote for anyone to rule in their name, that understands that capitalism is just going to have them under the boot. There's so much misery and despair in this. So I can understand why there might not be repeat listening value. To me, I saw this as a work of art, though. If it can conjure those emotions and the imagery of the isolated individual through the anger and visceral aggression of the music, then they're doing something right. And you'll find that post-metal and mathcore really captures that better than any genre. And to me, this is just written for metalheads.
It's original. It's not cliched. It's something different. And you know, something different takes getting used to, a bit of repeat listening, a bit of hard work to try and sort of get under the layers of what they're trying to achieve. Definitely. There's certainly a lot going on.
Yeah, there is like a muscular sludge metal element to it as well. It's like Gojira with drier plugins through their amps. As you said, Dave, they've gone into the studio, plugged in, not really thought about mixing it, and discovered that they are going to need some outside help. And that adds to the visceral aggression of it. I don't want this to be perfect, as you said. I don't want to be hearing polished click drums in there, the typewriter drums. They've got this mix down to a T, and that's why it reminds me of Dead Guy, the band from the 90s. I mean, the other thing is with this music, it actually means something. How many times do we put a metal album now and the lyrics are cryptic? Not here. There's a song on here. Let me read out the lyrics here. Wall Street and trust funds, you fucks are all the same. Force-feeding bullshit just to build your name. And that's on that song that you mentioned, Propaganda Organ. I just love how they're drawing attention to the hypocrisy of Wall Street and these corporations that are always the first to to plug progressive political causes, and they're always the first to say, we welcome competition in other sectors of the economy until theirs is affected, and then they just batten down the hatches and want protection from government, and they just wish they could live in a monopoly like Facebook and Google. So I really appreciated that, and again, this is just pure nihilism by the end of it. This is a person that is like Travis Bickle in the film Taxi Driver, De Niro's character.
Yeah.
At the end, when he just goes in and shoots that fucking pimp. That's what I was getting from this. This is. I even said, I hope Joey Woodard, the vocalist, is getting therapy for this, because the mind of this, the creator of this music, or collective minds, is in a dark place. They might not be those people when they're off stage or out of the studio, but get those four together, and this is really neurotic music that has a dangerous, murderous element to it as well. And I just fucking love that. To me, I felt like I was in front of the band, under their PA system and under attack when I was listening to it. So yeah, Dave and Andy, you're both right, especially you, Andy. You need to concentrate on this album. You don't put this on as background music, because you'll just feel you'll come down with nausea. You really need to be in the mood and get yourself ready as if you're warming up for a sparring session for music like this.
Well, I think I went in there looking for the hook, and that's probably the wrong way to look at this sort of music. Looking for the hook, looking for where's the ballads going to be coming in. But I think it does tie in for that comment I mentioned about Indifferent Engine, because they're a kind of a similar in that theatrical. They're going for trying to get a message across, and it is very artistic. They're trying to put on it's almost like you're going to an art installation at some art gallery somewhere, and they've just put this on, and you've got to watch the whole thing and try and get what the message is. The problem with that is you see Indifferent Engine. I've seen them 3 or 4 times now. Once is enough. You get the message after one, and you feel it. When you watch it the second time, you're like, yeah. And by the third time, you're like, okay, I'm not. That message is. I'm not that interested anymore. That's just something I found with them. But that first time you watch Indifferent Engine, and I'd be the same. I think if you were to watch Terracell and watch them live, and you just go, bloody hell, what the hell am I watching here? Problem is, I don't know if you could get the same the next time. It's all that shock factor. I think there's an element of that when you first go to watch a band, and I don't know if the songs themselves will stand up enough on their own after a repeated listen. I'll be intrigued from your point of view for you guys, especially because I know I won't listen to this album ever again. But from you, if you do listen to it, does it change your perspective of it over time? Do you get more meaning from it, or?
Yeah, do you know, this just gets better with every listen for me, which is surprising, because you said it's so in your face, and the hyper aggression at times, you feel like it's going to singe your eyebrows, doesn't it? Because it's so fucking heavy. Andy, would you say this is more like metallic hardcore? Just because it's just screaming, isn't it? The metal prior to really 1998, 2000, nobody was shouting, screaming in that masculine hardcore style. Now everyone seems to do it. So you said you don't think this is hardcore. How would you describe it then? Let me throw the question back at you.
Well, I think I've sort of said it in my summary. It's hard to categorize it. They are trying so many different styles, and I don't know what they're sort of focusing on. I guess it is the mathcore post metal, but with sort of hardcore vocals and maybe a hardcore sound and a hardcore approach to creating an album. But say you look at the logo, that's not hardcore. Terracell, you immediately think of the hardcore band Terror. I wouldn't put this down as a hardcore album. It's extreme metal. I'll use your term, I think, because I can't categorize it because there are so many different elements. Or certainly that I picked up on the 3 or 4 listens I've had. I know this one's been on our list for probably about a month or so. I did give it a good listen. I revisited it this week, but I still wouldn't put it down as hardcore. It still hasn't led me in a certain direction as what they're trying to achieve. I've still got that mixed bag of styles that I'm picking up from different songs and different parts of various songs. As I say, Doom from the very opener, And then, as I say, the other bands I mentioned as well. That's not hardcore.
Yeah,
But,
I think the quality. I think the riffs are too technical, aren't they, to be hardcore? There's a lot of thought gone into these.
Yeah.
There's a cool band from Sweden called Mass Worship, who released an album via Century Media earlier this year called Portal Tombs, and that's doing something similar, but they're taking a bit more of the Gojira Meshuggah side of things. Whereas with this, yeah, they're not using any fancy guitar setups, are they? This is just pure rage, and they don't care if you like it or not. And probably the greatest asset of this album. So yeah, Joey Woodard, we should interview him at some point.
Sure.
And guess what? The band, they all have long hair and large beards, so they just look like an extreme metal band, the type of band that no one's ever going to say they're a bunch of posers, because these guys definitely are not.
So again, that's not the hardcore style on look, is it?
No.
True, yeah, you did normally have short hair and baseball caps, wouldn't they?
Yep.
So yeah, so go on, let's do the rounds on this. So it's a thumbs up from me. I'm interested in the verdict from you two. Thumbs down from Dave.
Yeah, it's gonna have some more listens, and then I'll have a better sort of summary of what I'd categorise it as. I still haven't got all those elements together and got an answer, but it's definitely still on the playlist.
One more thing I'll say then, you could say it's more or less like a mathcore version of the band on your t-shirt. We all love Mastiff, don't we? They're like a more technical version of them.
Yeah. That's a fair comparison. Yeah.
So what's that? So that's two thumbs up, one thumbs down. And just to clarify for the band, if they're thinking that I hate the album, it's a thumbs down if I won't listen to it again. That's what we say. Well, that's our rules. If you won't listen to it again, it's thumbs down. It's not a bad album. It's just not an album that I would listen to, but at least two of us on the channel would. So it still gives it it is a thumbs up for the channel then. Terracell gets a thumbs up from ADK. Now, as always, if you like this video, please do subscribe, click the bell icon, like and share, and we will see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care. Bye bye.